Welcome back to the Emerald Corner. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you 13 things that I no longer buy as an accountant. Hey there, I'm Kimberly Ferguson, CEO and founder of Emerald Expectations Accounting. I'm so happy that you're here. The Emerald Corner is a place where life and business meet. So I want to help you have a growing and profitable small business while maintaining a life with your loved ones. So today's video, we're going to be talking about things that I no longer buy as a small business owner and also as an accountant, right? So this list is obviously just for me. It doesn't mean that you can't buy these things, but I am going to share with you what I don't buy and why I don't buy it. So maybe it will inspire you to do the same. So these are going to be in no particular order. But the first thing that I'm going to say that I don't spend money on anymore is courses or programs that I'm not going to finish. I don't know if you have this problem or if this is just a me problem, but according to statistics, it's not just a me problem. But if you buy a program and you don't finish it, right? A lot of the times you get these online workshops, you get these online education or training programs, you kind of get started maybe because you're gung-ho in the beginning, but then you never finish it, right? And then all that money goes to waste, whether it was, $47 or $4,700. I mean, either way, it's money that could have been used for something else if you're not going to implement it, right? So I'm very thoughtful, very strategic about which courses I buy into these days because I want to make sure that I have the time, I have the money, and I have the capacity in my brain and in my workload to take on this additional task, right? The truth of the matter is that that is one more thing to add to my already full to-do list. And I know as a business owner, you have an already full to-do list as well. So courses that we're not going to finish, they're off the table in 2024. So number two is things I see on Instagram. Yep, I know. This is a hard one for me. I don't know what it is with the stuff that when you're scrolling, if it's just that you're kind of already in that mind frame already, that you're just kind of scrolling through mindlessly. So when you see an ad, you just kind of mindlessly click on it. You're like, oh, that looks interesting. And then, oh, okay, I could use that. Yeah, you just buy it, right? Well, gone are those days in 2024, right? So when that kind of a thing pops up now, I actually open it up, I put it in a new tab in my phone, and I move on. And if I come back like 2 or 3 days later and I still think that that looks like something that's interesting, then I might get it. But I will no longer buy something the day that I see it on Instagram because I know you kind of get that dopamine hit from purchasing something. And that's kind of what they're banking on, right? Is one, you're already kind of just scrolling mindlessly, so you're not really thinking. And then number two is you get that dopamine hit, and we all love instant gratification, right? But 9 times out of 10, I don't like what I get, or I send back what I get, or it breaks, or whatever, right? So whatever it is, I probably don't really need it. And if I do, I can probably find something better if I actually sit down, do the research, do some comparisons on pricing and look at reviews to see the quality and all that stuff, right? So no more am I buying things that I see on Instagram that day at least. Number three is business planners. This one's a little hard for me because I have a thing with office supplies. I don't know what it is. I think other women have it too. Maybe not. Let me know in the comments if you have this problem. But I love buying office supplies and planners and all that stuff. And then I use it for a week and then I never touch it again. So going off of the mindset of I don't want to waste my money, I don't want to waste things that I spent time and money on, then I'm not going to be buying planners anymore. Now, what I am doing is obviously keeping tasks online, setting calendar appointments using a digital calendar. And since all of that stuff needs to be shared with my team anyways, it is easier. It makes more sense for me to just keep it all online. Now, sometimes I will use just like a plain notebook to keep things like that, like appointments this week, things I need to get done this week, because it's still satisfying to kind of go through and like highlight things or cross things off your list, right? Another dopamine hit. But no more paper planners. I probably could scare you with the number of paper planners that I probably still have in my possession that I don't use. Also, I find that most of the planners that are out there just don't fit my needs. So that's a problem, right? As a business owner, we have unique set of needs that we have. And most of the time, these planners are made for, stay-at-home moms or maybe even work from home moms and people who just have more children than I do, or, things going on in their personal lives that they need to keep track of. It's not usually focused on somebody who owns a business, somebody who lives the kind of life that I do. So 2024, no more planners. I'm making a commitment. So number four might sound kind of odd, but I'm going to say gifts for occasions. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to buy gifts for, say Valentine's Day or for birthdays or Christmas, but with this caveat, of course. The caveat being that I'm not just going to buy them for the gift's sake or for the holiday's sake or whatever. A lot of times that leads to you buying gifts that don't really mean anything. And I don't know about you, but I don't like having stuff in my house that I don't like or want or use. It just ends up creating clutter, right? And so if you're somebody who's been trying to simplify, then you don't want to have extra stuff in your life, right? So why would you give somebody something that they're not going to like that is just going to add clutter to their life? So this does not mean that I will not give gifts. It just means that I'm going to be more purposeful about them and I'm going to make sure that I choose gifts based off of when I find something that reminds me of someone or that fits someone rather than an actual occasion for it. Does that make sense? Number five is desk organizers. I don't know what it is with desk organizers, but I just feel like they never quite work for me. Maybe I keep weird things on my desk. I don't know. But I kind of like having something like that to like organize all my stuff. But I think honestly, I'm probably just more of a drawer person. Just shove everything in a drawer and move on with my life. I don't like to have things, out where I can see them anyways. I don't know if any of you have heard of Clutterbug before, but I am a ladybug, so I like things really easy to put away and I like them put away. I don't want them out. And I always try to like inspire myself by having them out in these nice little desk organizers, and it just never works. So no more in 2024. That's my mantra. No more in 2024. So number six is coffee mugs. I think this will probably be the hardest of the bunch because I have a mild obsession with coffee mugs. Do I drink a lot of coffee? Maybe. Sometimes. Depends on if I'm on a non-caffeine kick or not. But whether I drink a lot of coffee or not, I have a lot of mugs. So if you saw my latest reel, I have a cabinet full of them. And that is honestly not all of them. So this year, I'm going to try not to buy coffee mugs, or if I do find a coffee mug that I absolutely must have, I'm going to do one in, one out. So if I bring one in, I'm going to have to let one go, which will probably be even harder. So I probably won't be buying any at all. So number seven is ad space. Now, for some businesses, ad space works great. It really does. And so I'm not knocking it. Okay. But for a business like mine, which is pretty much all about relationships. It's all about whether you actually like me, whether you trust me to help you with your financials or not. I mean, there's really no getting around it. So creating advertisements to try to build relationships just doesn't really work. I have to actually, have some sort of a correspondence with you face to face or, via email several times or whatever that looks like. You follow me on social media, something like that has to happen first. So advertising doesn't do a lot for my kind of business. So in 2024, I don't think I'm going to be buying any ad space. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to do any advertising because there are ways of advertising without buying ad space. So, being a part of networking groups or going to certain types of events or sponsoring events, that stuff is more beneficial to a business like mine than actual ad spaces. So number eight for me is office space. So as you know, I pretty much work from home. And the reason for that is because when I had an office, I didn't really have a lot of traffic and it never really needed to have a space that people could come to. Now, if I had a space, occasionally people would come to it, but it was never really a need. And especially now that kind of the world took a shift towards virtual, I really don't have a need for an office. So maybe I'll have one again someday, but I think as far as 2024 goes, the office space is just not needed. So number 9 is low quality office furniture. I know it's kind of vague, right? But okay, this chair, for example, this chair is from a company called Allform, and it is super high quality. And so they actually it comes in like multiple boxes and it ships to your house and then you just kind of like put it together. But it is like 4 steps. Like there are so few steps. And then when you're done, it's like really solid, hardy furniture, right? Well, this piece over here, this is from Wayfair, which nothing wrong with Wayfair, but sometimes things come made from China or other places. And it's not only difficult to put together, I mean, like it takes a couple of hours to put something like this together that should be fairly simple, but it also is made of particle board, and so it's not necessarily as good of quality, so it's not gonna last as long. And then, of course, I'm gonna probably end up rebuying something better in a year or two. Who knows how long it'll take, but this kind of stuff is gonna fall apart a lot faster. So moving forward, anything that I buy, again, same thing with just being more mindful and thoughtful about how you spend your money. I want to spend it on things that are going to last, things that are going to be high quality, and things that are going to really bring value to my life. So number 10 doesn't quite apply to me, but it's something that I wouldn't recommend anybody spend money on in 2024. And that would be a PEO. And so if you haven't heard of a PEO before, it is a professional employer organization. Now, the main reason for this is because I don't think that you need this type of a service unless you're very large. And I mean like $10 million in revenue, large. So big, right? Or medium, as we call it in this in the small business world, right? A medium-sized business. But the reason for this is that they charge a pretty good premium for their services. So if you had $10,000 worth of payroll, you may end up paying upwards of even $20,000 total for your payroll in 1 month. So that's like double what you would have to pay if you weren't using that type of a service. So especially with the type of technologies that we have now, I mean, Gusto is fantastic. I'll link them below. There's other places that provide the same type of thing where you can kind of make sure that the taxes and tax returns and all the stuff that you need to do are getting done without having to spend a lot of time and putting in a lot of effort. So why you would do that at a such a large way when you can have it as such a smaller, kind of more affordable option, I don't think it makes sense to do that. So unless you're making over $10 million in revenue, I probably would stick to just payroll software. Number 11, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but things that clutter up my space. I have a tendency of not putting things away. Again, kind of goes with the whole ladybug thing. I'm kind of lazy when it comes to where my stuff belongs. And so as a child, that manifested as a very, very messy room that never really got cleaned ever. And obviously I have developed some systems and I don't necessarily have that problem as much, but it is still my tendency. So if I buy something that doesn't have a home or a place where it belongs, it's just going to sit on my desk or, on my kitchen counter or wherever that's a flat surface that's open and available. So in 2024, I'm not going to buy things unless I know where they're going to go and I know that they have a specific purpose. So things that clutter up my space are a no-go in 24. So number 12 is filing cabinets and file folders. So I do have a filing cabinet back there. Before I had just like a little plastic bin, but those types of things, they're just so kind of big and bulky that they just take up so much space. And a lot of the times that's stuff that you can just make digital copies of, which is what I've done. The actual things that I need that aren't in filing cabinets any longer, I actually have a folder that's like this big. And it is in a little fireproof bag, waterproof bag, all that stuff so that it's safe from any type of thing that might come up or damage them, but everything else can be digital. There's really no reason to keep receipts. There's no reason to keep a lot of documentation that you receive, bills, stuff like that. I mean, nothing really needs to be kept in a paper document, with a few exceptions, like maybe your home title or your birth certificates, social security cards, passports, like things like that. But those are little, they can fit in that kind of small folder rather than having to have a big file cabinet that takes up a lot of room that you don't really use that much. And number 13 is pens and pencils and even oftentimes notebooks. Now, before you jump down my throat, I just want to say that as business owners, we get a lot of promo stuff, right? And so what I do is I just use the promo stuff that I get, right? So you get these promo notebooks, you get these promo pens. Here, I've got a promo pen. So if I can avoid buying pens and pencils and notebooks and I can still have what I need to use, I'm going to do it, right? Again, it's not like I spend a ton of money on those types of things, but it's still money that I could be spending doing something else, right? So I could be utilizing that in something that's more beneficial to my business. And therefore, I don't buy pens and pencils and notebooks 95% of the time. Thank you so much for spending a couple minutes of your day with me. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in my next video. All right, so the next video that you want to do is going to be the things that you don't buy as an accountant, right? So what are those things? Okay. Planners, really? I mean, how do you think? Okay. That's a little weird, but okay. Coffee mug, okay. Now I know you're joking. What do I get if you actually buy these things during the year? Because I'm sure you're going to.